Hey, I'm back. 8 months ago, I went dark. No explanation, no warning, no goodbye. I was just vanished. Honestly, some of what has happened in the last 8 or 9 months has had me rethink some things in emergency preparedness. I'm going to catch you up here in this video. First off, sorry to ghost y'all for however long this has been. Um, we had a move last summer, of course, and then there was a sickness in the family that has really disrupted things for us. And I've looked back at a number of projects and seen that they all happened about that time, just about a month after the move, and everything stopped right there. I've got a much longer commute than I used to, which makes a lot of things a lot more challenging. And so, anyway, I'm trying to get back into the routine here. I've got some new things to talk about. I've got one that I'm going to be shooting here in just a few minutes after I finish this video. It's going to be an unboxing of Tiny Spectrum Analyzer here, which actually I have got it in for work more than for play, trying to identify some interference that we're dealing with and in a work environment. But I'm going to do the unboxing of that, and you should see that video in just a few days. And then I'll hopefully have a more in-depth look at it. I've also got a number of comparison videos that I want to be doing here in the near future. Finally get to a good review of the Woshun, the KG935H that I've got sitting right here, as well as just kind of revisiting some longer term use reviews of some of the other radios that I do have, because I do have a few that I have not revisited in a bit and I'd like to talk about. The Yaesu that I used to have in the car with me all the time has gone belly up. It is not working anymore. I need to diagnose and fix it. Just no time and no money. It's one of those things that I'm sure everybody can relate to these days. Everything's a little tight. But I do want to follow up on that one at some point here and hopefully get you some good video coverage of it. We will finally get the firmware transitioned on this this Retevis RT3S. I know they have had some issues with their firmware, the website for their firmware rather, where they had to kind of lock things down to read only on their site. And so I've been keeping an eye on that. I'm going to look into OpenGD 77 and make sure I'm getting a current version of it to get installed on that. And I'll get a video shot to walk through going through that. One of the things as this chaotic season has been underway, I've not used the radios quite as much as I had been. Last year, summer into fall, going into the move, I think all of the time when I was in the car, I would have the radios on, listening and, kind of sussing out which repeaters are getting the most traffic. And it's funny how much in our area can change in 6 to 8 months. Because maybe a month or two ago, I was monitoring and scanning and finding, oh, well, we've got a different linked network now in the area that we didn't have 6 months ago. 8 months ago. And it was fascinating because most of our linked networks are for the west of us. I'm in Johnson City right now, live up in Kingsport. But Greenville, Tennessee, we get a little bit of coverage from Knoxville, depending on where you are in the area. But points west we get not so much points north, at least not beyond like Abingdon and Norton up in Virginia. But this was a network covering a lot of West Virginia, which I had not heard in this area before. So they've added a new link to their Appalachian repeater network. Little shout out to them. Really, I think I may have said that wrong. It may be Appalachian Repeater Association. I'll double check that. But anyway, there's always flux, there's always change. And that is one of the things to consider with your emergency preparedness. Make sure that you go back and check things every now and then. Check the settings, check and make sure, did the repeater that was your go-to 6 months ago and you programmed every radio with it, is that one now off air? And oh, well, there's another one that people are using that replaces it, and this is where all of the local nets meet now. So while I do have my spreadsheet still with all of the repeater frequencies and some notes as to what happens when, a lot of that has changed in just 6 to 8 months. And so, on the one hand, that's good because it tells you that it is a thriving hobby in the area. We've got a lot of activity on the air, GMRS as well as amateur radio frequencies. I wound up the other day picking up some 220 band traffic that I hadn't noticed before, and I think it's because a repeater that I had programmed and was off the air for a year and a half has finally come back up on the air, and now I've got a better radio to receive it, which a little hat tip to the Woshun. It does better than a lot of the others on 220. I've been impressed with that, but that's a little tease of the real review that you'll get later on. I'm not in a position to buy a lot of hardware to test, and so new reviews will be a little slow coming, although I'm working on that front. But I just wanted to let you all know that I'm back. I'm going to try and be a little more consistent. Hopefully here in the next week or two, maybe I can get a batch of videos ready to go and just start getting them out there. Events tend to drive the change in frequencies and nets on the air. And so Helene taught us that. There were some repeaters that were basically taken down by the winds. A tree would come down and knock down a tower or the antenna. There's one up in Bristol that had to rehome because they didn't know how long it would be before their main tower was going to be back up and operational. Events drive change, but people are working to put together more robust networks too, which is kind of fun to see. And so that's all good stuff. All good stuff. But make sure you refresh your emergency notes and plan from time to time. I think that's probably the biggest lesson out of this. And a lot of times the emergency is not the natural disaster, but the emergency is the family emergency and the crisis du jour. We tend to have a few more of them than seems typical in our family. We're always dealing with some fairly unusual situations, it seems. Not quite sure. But hopefully we'll see some things settle down here soon. But in any case, try and keep your head up and keep, your scanning going. Listen to what's going on locally. I have seen that there are a lot of comments that I need to respond to. Some of which are still audio quality issues. I have been using these lavalier mics, trying to make these work and get a little better audio on the videos. I'm working on that, trying to figure out what I can do with as little cost outlay as possible, because we're living kind of close right now the way gas prices are. Also, I have heard some critiques about needing a couple camera angles, especially for some of these screens, and that is a point taken. I haven't worked a great way to do that yet, but I will keep trying on that front. I really need to figure out a way to have one device recording from multiple inputs. And maybe I'll get that sorted out here before long. That's probably going to be more of a cost outlay for me, which has got it kicked down the road. But anyway, thank you all for stopping by and being a part of the channel. I appreciate it. I'm sorry to go dark on you. I feel like I have abandoned you for a period of time, and I'll do my best to keep things a little more consistent here. I think I've probably said that before. Unfortunately, our life does get a little chaotic at times too. Um, but I think a lot of you can probably relate to that as well, especially if you're parents. And yeah, things can definitely get interesting. But with all that said, thank you again. And you look for more videos coming up from me. This is KI4TQN over here in Johnson City, Tennessee, signing off. Thanks.